Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast, Jacob Walks Over a Bridge. I'm Jacob. I'm currently walking over a bridge, and it's just a beautiful day. Honestly, this is like peak mid-September where we still haven't totally shrugged off the heat of summer, but much less oppressive than it was in the thick of August. It must be like, maybe, if I had to guess, 70 degrees. Not very humid. I've been walking now for a little while and it doesn't feel like I'm a hot, sweaty mess. It just feels nice. And this is one of the reasons why seasons like fall are my favorite, or I guess the season of fall. There aren't many other seasons like fall necessarily, but fall is my favorite because it's that sigh of relief you get once you don't have to have the AC on all the time, or it finally feels good to be under the blanket when you're asleep at night. It doesn't hurt to be outside is what I'm saying, and I'm sure give it another 2 months, once fall is really in effect and we start transitioning closer to winter, things might get a little more miserable, but in the meantime, it's just a nice, gorgeous day, and I'm happy to be joined by you as I walk. This is my what I'm calling a revenge day, but it's what the industry insiders would call a comp day. After laboring during Labor Day weekend at work, I was able to take some days off to compensate the comp day for those days that I worked that I really should have had off. Thus, here I am on a nice Thursday, middle of the day, on the Queensboro Bridge. I guess I stopped believing that the bridge would be empty in the middle of the day, because people do things in the middle of the day, because what is the middle of the workday for some is not for others, and some people even have to bike over this bridge every day for whatever reason, or maybe they're a student who doesn't have anything else to do today and they're going for a run. It's not very open-minded to think that everyone has the same sort of responsibilities throughout the day that you do. But for now, I could say that it's definitely not weekend busy. And the fun part about this bridge is just having to maneuver around all the traffic and the bikes and the runners and everyone else trying to go in whatever direction they want in such a narrow space. I'm in one of the wider parts now. I'm walking from Manhattan to Queens, and once you get through the initial ascent, if you will, on the bridge, it gets about as wide as it gets. If I had to guess, maybe 10 feet across, give or take. I'm trying to picture yardsticks lined out in front of me, which, yeah, why not? And give or take, like I'm passing one of a major, there's a beam, the thing that holds the bridge down, and it narrows down a little bit as you walk around the walkway. Someone lost their bike. What? Nice cool breeze. Just enjoying being outside. Not even that bright. I guess the sun, the way it's positioned now in the sky, which I was a little worried about, because as I was walking from west to east getting to the bridge, it was kind of bright walking towards the east. As I'm walking to the more eastern part of the city, I guess the sun is in a position now with regards to where the bridge is that most of this walk is covered in shade. So don't have to worry about my eyes. or getting a sunburn, though I did put sunblock on. I've learned my lesson. It's always the days where you least expect to get sunburned that you get sunburned, which happened to me last week or the week before, was it? Hard to remember. Time is funky. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. But I'm walking. This is my annual walk to City Field, which I've been doing for a little while now. And it's not an official thing. It's not like, oh, I got tickets for this game with the intent of walking. It just so happened that I really couldn't think of anything else to do today. I'm sure there were a lot of things I could have done today in the interim. The Feast of San Gennaro Festival starts today in Little Italy, which I was thinking of going to today, but I'm probably going to go on Saturday. I don't have to, but I'm making the conscious effort to go to New Jersey City. No, it's not to New Jersey, it's just regular Jersey City for a friend's birthday party, and with Jared, who you know from at least one other previous episode. We'll be going probably to San Gennaro Festival on Saturday and then going to New Jersey shortly after that. I could have gone today, but chose not to. I imagine it's probably not as crowded on a weekday. I only went once a few years ago, and I feel like activities before COVID, different attendance for after COVID. Like the Queens Night Market, which was, look at all those tourists on the Roosevelt Island train, you know, pictures, videos. I've probably said this on here before, but I always wonder how many treasured photos am I a part of unintentionally, just being in the background of some shot in the city. Someone when they're going through their camera roll on their phone, or maybe even a picture they've printed out, put in the frame, and I'm just there. Just because I happen to be walking along Fifth Avenue or in Central Park, or as I am now, just walking over a bridge. To think they have photographic evidence that this episode was actually recorded on the Queensboro Bridge and not live in some studio, which I've been tempted to try. You know, maybe the last episode I could try to find some sort of studio space, but I feel like that would lose part of the charm. You know, part of the charm is it sounds like I'm on a bridge. A truck just went by, you probably heard that, or the generator I just walked past, you probably heard that, probably more than you hear my voice. You know, this wouldn't be the same if it was just in a, what's the word? A controlled environment. I'm trying to think of the better word. It's not coming to me now. That's my problem too. I go off on these tangents. I guess going back, I was talking about, I guess, the Mets. Some guy just came out of a hole. What does he say on this bridge? That is that. The Mets. This is the game I decided to walk to. Why not? You know, it's because you see it's a beautiful day. What better way to spend a beautiful day than just being outside for as long as possible? Save the $2.75 for the subway and walk on over. I feel like it's not going to be such an issue today that I'm going to smell horrible by the time I get there. I mean, I hope not. You know, I'm not going to be walking at such a fast pace. I'm going to be sweating and dang smelly. I hope not. For the sake of the people who I'm sitting with, I guess being outdoors shouldn't be as bad as if it was an indoor arena, but that's beside the point. Oh, sorry, I burped. I'm yawning. All the things. All the things. Oh. I'm ready to get hurt again with the Mets. And I guess I'm trying to be more spontaneous. I mean, these tickets were planned months in advance, but when I went to a game just 2 days ago, just because it was why not? It still feels nice to be able to get out of work at 5 o'clock again after finally finishing the launch I was on. And what better way to celebrate that than to go to a baseball game? And one of the things I was worried about, the Mets being good now for the first time in a while, is that ticket prices might go up. It was always fun when the Mets were bad and finding games for just a couple bucks to cheer them on from whatever part of the stadium, generally, I guess the upper decks. But those sort of deals have not gone away even as we turn the calendar to September. I don't think their recent performance is playing a part of it necessarily, but I was able to find tickets for Tuesday's game for less than $5 after fees, which is quite the steal. And it wasn't even the City Field has, I guess, technically four, I guess the suite level is the 200s. So you have the 100 level, which is the field level, 200's the suite, 300's like this kind of in-between level, and then the 400, 500s comprise the upper decks. These tickets were for the 400 level, so not bad seats. I was happy with that. It was just the spontaneity of it all. Because I was going back through my camera roll for things I've done this year, and things that January events felt by now feel like last year events. If I'm thinking about them, it's hard to place necessarily when in the year they happened, but thankfully, on the iPhone, when you take a picture, it records the date. I was just going through, and I've done a fair amount this year. Done a lot of new things, gone to new places, explored like I haven't in a while. But there are, I don't know, maybe it's because recency bias, especially with work getting to be a little overbearing at times. I haven't really done that much, gone out to do things, see people, but I want to redeem the year. Before the 2020s, when I looked back at the end of 2019 on the decade prior, I really noted that the odd years were much more interesting than the even years. Not to say that the even years had anything wrong with them, but I guess the life events that happened in the odd years were just that much more interesting. It's when I think of the major events to happen, for the most part, they happened in the odd years. Some things notwithstanding. And I remember at the start of 2020, I was like, maybe I'll make sure that all these years going forward are going to be interesting. Every year, not even the odds, they'll all be interesting. Lo and behold, the 2020 starting on the even year was a very, very interesting year for reasons not necessarily of my control. So, and last year, I mean, it's hard to say now. When I get to 2029, I'm sure I could put the entirety of this decade into context to see and be able to rank which years were the most interesting in terms of things I've done. But I know that, and some have told me this, so I guess sometimes you don't really realize things about your character until people bring them to light. And I've had a few instances at least in recent memory, no, not even recent, but things I can remember people telling me about. I guess you could call them character flaws or things that are not necessarily desirable qualities. Like, I remember when I was 15 at summer camp, and the bunk that I was sleeping in, we all were going around talking about things we could do better, and I remember that I was told that I can ramble without getting to the point. And that stuck with me, and I tried to be a little more concise, at least that summer, and people, I think, took note. And look at me now, I'm just rambling on for half an hour while walking over a bridge. Well, not half an hour, hopefully not half an hour. How long's it been? Well, it's only been about 16 minutes so far. Not bad. Making good time. I'm already on my descent into Queens. I'm gonna try taking a picture, and hopefully this doesn't pause. I guess can't blame them here. There's traffic. People. I guess this is the best time to be doing this sort of thing, because I guess compared to other times of the day, it's not necessarily as busy. Alright, took the picture. It'll be a funny picture later that I'll post onto social media. To my audience and a couple people. The people who I care about. I guess the people who follow me are the people who I care about because they follow me. Where was I? Talking about spontaneity. The other time that I can really remember someone revealing something to me that I wasn't necessarily so aware of was that sometimes I have a habit of making these grandiose plans in my head, or with other people even, and watch out. Some guy was just biking on the pedestrian side and not looking where he was going. So excuse my outburst. It's not very often that I've had to yell at people to look where they're going here. I wasn't necessarily ready to jump out of the way, but it was good to tell him. But with that in mind, that I can sometimes be flaky on some of these bigger ideas, I'm trying to be better and just follow through a little more. I've got, for instance, I was not necessarily planning that to go to 2 games in a week for the Mets, but I did, or I will once this day has concluded. By the time this episode is uploaded, I'm sure I will have already enjoyed a wonderful game. Jared and I are we will be, or we have splurged a little bit. One of the last sections I haven't sat at Citi Field. One of the aside from, I guess the suites are one of the last ones I'm getting ahead of myself. Where we're sitting tonight is the Hyundai Club, which is like a little loge section that sticks out right above the area right behind home plate, where I've sat a couple times now. When you look at how much tickets cost, where we are sitting tonight is really the most expensive that you can buy without, I guess, splurging on a suite, and that's a whole other story. I had a chance last year to do that during like April, May, when they were really trying to get people back into stadiums. So that probably would have been my best, and not only, I'm not going to say, but that was probably my best chance for a while to get into a suite. But I guess the suites, and there's this restaurant out in left field don't really know how to get. I guess you have to make. I don't know if you have to make reservations or just sit down there. I don't know, but one of these days I'll eat there at that restaurant. When I'm not feeling like a hot dog. Or what I had last time was a pastrami on rye. They're not gonna put Katz's out of business, but it was decent. But more to that point, I'm trying to just do more. Instead of just hanging around my apartment all day doing nothing, I'll try to see what the rest of this year can offer. Especially the next month or two when the weather's going to be peak for doing things outside. Maybe they'll be dating more, maybe they'll just be going on more walking adventures, and the drive to go on these walking adventures has decreased a lot compared to previous years. I guess mostly because there's more things to do now. Back in 2020, this was the only thing to do, go walking around and doing other things outside like that. And it was a great way to explore the city, and now that I've seen most of at least the places where you'd want to walk, or not necessarily, it's with less to see, there's less to explore, and now my sights are being turned to other places to explore. Like when it comes to following through, I've been talking a little bit now amongst myself and some friends and family about doing a tour of the world, just picking 4 or 5 cities across the globe and saying, yeah, let's do it. And I took off a couple weeks from work to plan this at the beginning of late December, early January. So better follow through on, otherwise I have to figure out what I'm doing for 3 weeks off. But that's where I see myself doing. At least to make the end of the year, beginning of the next year great. Sorry, I have to burp. Excuse me. That was quite rude. I regret every outburst like that I've ever had on there. Oh, I'm yawning again. Yeah. Hopefully things will get more exciting as time goes on, because I'm getting passed by at the end of the level. Can't tell until the last car comes, because you can't see this as the end. Thing, unless they're, I'm not going to say officially until the last car passes me, but I'm saying for certain. That's the end. It's the fun part of the bridge where you get your final descent to the train. So the walkway narrows a little bit, you have the subway on the left, the cars on the right. Everyone going every direction. Who knows? This could be the last Queensboro Bridge walk of the season. Who knows? I'm sure I'll have other reasons to go to Queens between now and the end of the year. But there's the Triborough Bridge. Do some other wonky walks. Got a lot of there's lots of bridges. There's still a few bridges in this city I haven't walked over yet. There's still probably a few up going to the Bronx or other place. I'm still not gonna. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm gonna be able to sign up for the New York City Marathon in time to do an episode over the Verrazano Bridge. or risk my life and go over the Hell's Gate Bridge. I value my life enough to put that over quality content. You know, if the mayor wants to step in, and I don't know, but I don't know if that's not necessarily top of Adam's to-do list. I don't really know it is on the top of his to-do list. Honestly, I don't think it's probably anything worth noting, considering what I know about him, what I've seen. Not very promising from my point of view anyway, but that's just my leftist agenda. We're reaping what we sowed. I'm trying not to be such a cynic, but I feel like the years have made me more and more cynical as time has gone on for various reasons. I've been hurt. I've been stabbed in the back. I've learned lessons. People, the world is easy, but you need to be careful. And on that note, I have reached the conclusion of the pedestrian walkway over the Queensboro Bridge. It's been an honor and a privilege once again to talk to myself and you, but mostly I guess now to myself as I would cross the bridge to help pass the time better than Pokemon Go could. But as I want to say in these situations, good day and good night.